Hey everyone. So I think we all know that speaking English confidently is like something a lot of people want, right? Like it could really open up a lot of doors for you. And today, well, we did a deep dive into this really cool episode. And it's from the Speakeasy English for Everyone podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And the episode is called The Secret to Speaking English Confidently. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, definitely. I've come across that one. It's a good one.
Yeah. And the host, Alex Carter, he's actually partnered up with Learn English with AI for this episode.
Interesting.
Yeah, they share some really cool tips. So, I don't know, are you ready to kind of unlock some of that confidence?
Absolutely. I think that's something that everyone's looking for.
Right.
Yeah, and one of the things that I found really interesting about this episode is that Alex Carter starts off by kind of like addressing the elephant in the room, that fear of speaking up.
Right.
He acknowledges that lots of people, maybe even you listening right now, get nervous about making mistakes or just sounding awkward when they speak English.
Yeah, totally.
But right away, he throws out this great reminder, and it's so important, I think, that even native speakers mess things up sometimes.
It's true.
Yeah, it's kind of liberating, wouldn't you say?
It totally is, yeah. I know, like for me, when I was learning Spanish, I would get so caught up in trying to be perfect that I wouldn't even want to open my mouth.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Alex Carter seems to be all about, like, breaking down those mental barriers, which is great.
Absolutely.
And he actually dives into what he calls the 3 golden rules for speaking English confidently.
Oh, I like it. Golden rules.
Right.
Yeah.
And the first one really caught my attention. It's think in English, don't translate.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Have you ever tried that approach?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it really is a game changer, I think, because the idea is to shift your mindset away from translating word for word in your head,
right?
Which can be really clunky and it slows you down,
Yeah.
Instead, you want to start forming thoughts directly in English.
Okay.
And he gives this simple example. I think it's something like, I see a blue sky, the sun is shining, I feel happy.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, basic sentences, sure, but they really demonstrate how you can describe your surroundings in English without overthinking the grammar.
Right, and I think for a lot of people, that is the issue.
Yeah.
It's like too much in your head,
Definitely, yeah. It's almost like you're training your brain to think in a new language.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so that's golden rule number 1.
Yeah.
No more mental gymnastics with translating back and forth. I like that.
Right.
What's golden rule number 2?
Okay, so golden rule number 2 is all about action, okay? So it's speak, even if it's not perfect. And I bet this resonates with you too. So many language learners, they wait until they feel ready to speak.
Right.
But that moment, it may never come, right? If we let fear hold us back.
Oh, for sure. I can see how that ready feeling could be a bit of a trap,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
When is that ever going to happen?
Yeah, exactly. It's like trying to learn to swim by just reading books about swimming.
Right.
At some point, you've got to jump in the pool.
Yes.
And that's what Alex Carter is encouraging listeners to do. He's saying, jump in.
Love it.
He emphasizes that practicing, even with mistakes, is how we truly improve.
Yeah.
In fact, making mistakes is a crucial part of the learning process.
Right.
And that leads us to his 3rd golden rule, which builds upon that idea of just going for it.
Okay.
Have you heard of shadowing?
Shadowing. Is that like standing in someone's shadow and copying their every move?
Well, not quite, but I like how you're thinking.
Okay.
It's a language learning technique where you listen to a native speaker and try to mimic them as closely as possible, like a shadow following its object. It helps you internalize the rhythm and intonation of the language.
Ooh, okay.
Which can make a huge difference in how you sound. I think it's a fantastic way to work on pronunciation and get a feel for the natural flow of English.
So rather than copying someone's every move, you're copying their way of speaking.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I can imagine it could be really helpful for things like pronunciation and even just feeling more comfortable with the sounds of the language. Where would someone even start with shadowing, though? I mean, do you just walk up to random people and...
While it might be amusing to try that, there are much easier ways to practice shadowing, thankfully.
Okay, good.
Alex suggests using things like movies, YouTube videos, or even podcasts, his included, of course.
Makes sense.
For practice, and the beauty of it is you can do it anytime, anywhere.
That's so cool. Okay, I'm already starting to feel a little more confident just hearing about these golden rules.
That's great.
But I have a feeling Alex Carter doesn't stop there, does he?
Oh, Alex, he always takes things a step further. To really help solidify those golden rules, he throws down a challenge to his listeners.
Oh, yeah. I love a good challenge. What does he have them do? Climb Mount Everest? Swim the English Channel?
Not quite that extreme, but definitely effective. He has them repeat 3 simple sentences out loud.
Okay.
Hi, how are you today? I love learning English every day, and speaking English is fun and easy. He encourages people to say them with enthusiasm, like they really mean it.
See, that's what I like about his approach. It's practical and, dare I say, fun. It's not about memorizing grammar rules in a textbook. It's about actually using the language.
Yeah.
And even though those sentences are simple, I can see how repeating them could help you get more comfortable with the sounds and the rhythm of English.
Right.
It's like a vocal warm-up, right?
Precisely. And he even gives a pro tip. Try repeating these sentences in front of a mirror or recording yourself.
Oh, wow.
It might feel a little silly at first,
Right.
but it can make a big difference in building your confidence. When you hear yourself speaking English, it starts to feel more natural and less intimidating.
You know, that's something I never would have thought of, but it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I bet it also helps you identify areas where you might need a little extra practice. Maybe there's certain sounds that trip you up, or you realize your intonation could use some work.
Absolutely. It's like having your own personal language coach right there in your pocket.
Right.
And speaking of challenges, I'm curious, what do you think is the biggest hurdle for people who are trying to improve their spoken English?
That's a great question. I think for a lot of people, it's that fear of making mistakes, worrying about saying the wrong thing or being judged for their accent. It can be really paralyzing.
Right.
But I also think sometimes it's about finding the right opportunities to practice. If you don't have someone to speak English with regularly, it can be hard to stay motivated and make progress.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's a combination of mindset and opportunity. We need to find ways to overcome that fear of speaking up, but we also need to create environments where people feel comfortable practicing and making mistakes without feeling self-conscious.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's where resources like, this podcast and Learn English with AI can be so valuable, right?
Totally.
They provide tools and guidance, but they also create a sense of community and support.
Exactly. It's about feeling connected to others who are on the same journey.
It reminds me of that powerful question Alex Carter asks at the end of his episode.
Oh, yeah.
What's your biggest challenge when speaking English? It's such a simple question, but it encourages self-reflection, doesn't it?
It really does. And I think once you identify those challenges, you can start to find solutions, whether it's through specific exercises, finding a language partner, or just shifting your mindset to be more open to making mistakes.
For sure. It's all about taking those small steps forward, one conversation at a time.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of mindset, the power of practice, and some awesome techniques like shadowing. But before we wrap up our deep dive into Alex Carter's episode, is there anything else that really stood out to you? Something that perhaps you think our listeners should pay special attention to?
What really stood out to me was how Alex Carter really emphasizes the joy of speaking English.
Oh, yeah.
Like he talks about the freedom it brings, the connections you can make, and the doors it can open. It's not just about, achieving some level of fluency.
Yeah.
It's about experiencing the world in a richer way.
Yeah, I love that perspective. Like, yes, we want to help you feel more confident speaking English, but we also want you to enjoy the journey.
For sure.
Because let's face it, learning a language can be challenging at times, but it should also be fun and rewarding.
Absolutely. And that sense of accomplishment when you have a conversation in English, or you understand a movie without subtitles, or you make a new friend from another country.
Yes.
Those are the moments that make it all worthwhile.
Totally. So to our listener who's on this journey to conquer their fear and speak English with confidence, what would be your one piece of advice?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, the golden nugget they can take away from our deep dive today.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what Alex Carter said about embracing the learning process. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Right.
Remember, every mistake is an opportunity to learn and grow, and most importantly, have fun along the way.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It's not about being perfect. It's about progress, persistence, and having the courage to speak up.
And who knows, maybe one day you'll be hosting your own podcast in English.
Ooh.
Sharing your story and inspiring others, the possibilities are endless.
Now, that's a goal worth striving for. So as we wrap up our deep dive today, let's recap those 3 golden rules from Alex Carter. Think in English, speak even if it's not perfect, And try shadowing.
Those are good ones.
Yeah, and don't forget that fun challenge of repeating those 3 sentences out loud. It might feel silly, but trust us, it works.
Yeah, and if you find yourself hitting a roadblock or feeling discouraged, remember Alex's question. What's your biggest challenge when speaking English? Once you pinpoint that challenge, you can start to explore solutions and find the support you need.
Absolutely. And hey, maybe we can even delve into some of those solutions in a future deep dive. There's always more to learn, more to explore, and more ways to connect with the amazing world of English.
Until then, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep having fun.
Happy speaking.